We do. That's a mystery. That's okay. Thank you very much. And have we got members who want to declare an interest on any item of the business on this agenda? If you have, please let me know the item and whether your interest is a disclosable pecuniary interest, or another registered interest of a non-registered interest and the nature of that interest. Following discussion with the monitoring officer, those councillors that are also county councillors, I say we don't need to register that. Thank you. No? No? Thank you. Record that, please. Right, we can now move on to item 3 of the agenda on pages 3 to 10 in the report pack, and that is the appointment of the council's interim monitoring officer. And David will leave us just at the moment while we've got that item. Whilst this item takes place, then we have this report to look at. So I invite Councillor Knowles, our leader, to present this report. And do we have a seconder for the report? Do we have a seconder, please? Okay. Councillor Knowles will present the report.
Thank you very much. Chairman, I'm not going to go into great lengths about the report. I think it's very clear. It details all of the information that we need to have. It seeks that we note the decision of the Chief Executive to appoint Dave Gill as interim monitoring officer, and the delegation to the Chief Executive should it be necessary for any extension. I think it's all, as I say, pretty clear. I'm very happy to move that, and obviously would then invite you to seek a seconder.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Knowles. So do we have to vote on this? Yes. Do I have a seconder for that report, please? Councillor Mrs. Page, I think, was just won that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that then. Okay. Does anyone wish to speak on it? No? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, so that's okay then. So we dealt with that. Yeah. Do we need to vote on this?
We do need to vote on it.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to vote on it. Okay then. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Bremner.
So, thought in my head, given this is an appointment of interim, which is fine. Thank you for the leader for sharing that. But what is the anticipation for the time period to appoint somebody permanently?
Right. Well, this is an interim appointment. We, as you know, I think the council has to operate with a monitoring officer. So I would just perhaps ask the Chief Executive to give me a comment on that, please. Thank you, Councillor Bremner.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Bremner. We have been out to advert, and we have had applications, and we have done the shortlisting. So we hope it will be recruited to, or certainly have the interviews in the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully a decision will be made. So imminently, we hope, but clearly that's subject to the due process.
Thank you, Chief Executive. So given that statement, can we vote on this item, please? Those in favour, please raise your arm. Thank you very much. Do we have any against? Any abstentions? Thank you all very much. So that recommendation is carried. So we can congratulate David. You can come back in now. We're all okay. So. Okay, now we move on to item 4, which is page number 7. This is the calculation and application of the political balance and the committee appointments. And I do see that we have a list tonight of people on those committee appointments. So once again, initially to kick this off, I'm going to invite Councillor Knowles to present this report, please. Thank you, Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, first of all, I'd like to start off by thanking Councillor Wellband, who I spoke to in detail about this, and to between the two of us, we managed to actually come up with the acceptance of the details that the officers had given us. I do owe an apology to Councillor Graves, because Councillor Graves didn't get a phone call, which he should have got. And I've explained that to him at the start of the meeting. He should have got a phone call. It was supposed to go back to him, giving him details of the committee that he was on. He didn't receive that call. I do apologise to him, but both myself and Councillor Burrell were of the opinion. In fact, we've been informed that he was going to get a call, and we were given the name of the people who were going to ring him, and they didn't. So apologies to Councillor Graves, and I think we should record that. As I say, my thanks to Councillor Wellband. I would point out there is one error that has been pointed out to me on the appeals committee. It lists down Councillor Burrell. It should sound Councillor Worrell. So there's been a slight error there. So if we can get that one corrected, that would be much appreciated. And when the details go out, they will reflect that. My understanding is that all the details are there. As I say, the details I've agreed on behalf of the coalition, and Councillor Wellband's agreed, as far as I know, on behalf of the Conservatives. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm happy to move it, Chairman, and to take any questions that people may have.
Thank you, Councillor Knowles. Do we have a seconder for this stage?
Happy to say them.
Thank you very much. And you know, this is really a mathematical calculation we've got following the recent election. So would anyone like to speak on it? Anyone want to speak? No? Okay, so we can vote. So can I say those in favour of this report, please raise your arm now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Those against? And those abstaining? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, now we come to item 5. And I just want to say at the beginning of this, prior to the consideration of item 5, we're in a changing situation in all sorts of ways, really, and we've got some very latest up-to-date information, which is fortunate for the date of this meeting. So prior to consideration of 5, I will be using my discretion under 4(1)(18) of the Constitution to allow a statement from the leader to provide us with the very latest information that's emerged since Councillor Wellband's motion was submitted. Because I really think this will help us, this will inform us. It's so important that we have got the latest up-to-date information when we discuss this tonight. So I really would like the leader of the council to make a statement and to tell us quite clearly where we believe we are at the moment before we start the debate. Thank you for that understanding. Thank you, Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Chairman. Fellow councillors, I've asked the chairman to allow me to update council ahead of the motion tonight due to the pertinent and timely announcement that was made collectively by leaders of the districts and boroughs last Friday. So I would thank the chairman for his indulgence. Harbour District Council has been working in close partnership with the other district and borough councils in Leicestershire, as well as with Rutland County Council, to develop a bold and forward-looking proposal for the future structure of local government across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. This collaborative effort has led to the development of North City South proposal, a model we believe offers the best benefit, the greatest benefit to our communities. These councils will be well balanced in both size and scope. To be clear, I have also said that I do not feel that the local government is broken in Leicestershire. Our two-tier system works, is in the main understood, and the government is already dealing with any structural financial changes through its ongoing funding reforms. I have today written to the new Minister of State, Alison McGovern, assuming she gets the local government portfolio for this, to ask for an urgent meeting along with the other leaders of Leicestershire districts and boroughs and Rutland County Council. We know this change is already costing significant amounts of money, taxpayers' money. We know no cost benefit analysis was done in advance, and as such, it is not too late to pause, reflect and reconsider. However, we have no choice but to deliver the government's current instructions. So in March, we submitted an interim plan to the government, which was shared with all members, and we are now focused on the next phase, preparing a comprehensive and detailed final submission, which we intend to submit to the government late November. At the beginning of June, we received feedback from government about the proposals put forward for this area. This feedback was also shared with all members. We have reviewed this information and will address any points raised which are directly relevant to our proposal in our final submission. The government has, with its partners, recently concluded a public engagement exercise in which we sought views from residents, communities, businesses and organisations through a range of channels, including online and paper surveys, telephone interviews, workshops and focus groups. These efforts are vital in helping us to understand the priorities and concerns of those we serve, and in shaping a proposal that truly reflects their needs. The full results from this will form part of the final submission. From the stakeholder, resident and parish council workshops, there was a constant theme that arose from all those sessions, which was a concern regarding the expansion of the City Council into Harborough and other parts of Leicestershire. This has also been relayed to me by many residents, councillors and our MPs. In relation to members of Parliament, I have written to our three MPs today, Neil O'Brien, Alberto Costa and Alicia Kearns, to ask them to follow the lead of at least one other Leicestershire MP who has already come out in support of our North City South proposal. I sincerely hope they support what the residents want and add their weight to the North City South, which has with immediate effect, and also support the call for an urgent meeting with the new Minister of State. As you know, based on the interim proposal submitted by the City, it wants to expand significantly into various districts, including Harborough. As I have stated consistently since day one, I have not been supportive of any encroachment of the city boundaries into Harborough. I have a letter from Pip Arnott, leader at Melton Borough Council and chair of the North City South Leaders Group. This unequivocally states I have never once agreed to concede any of Harborough District into any proposal for the bid. I am, however, as leader, committed to ensuring that every aspect of North City South model is robust, evidence-led and aligned with the long-term interests of our communities. With that in mind, and having met with the other North City South leaders and reviewed the available evidence and information, I remain of the view that our final proposal should not propose any expansion to the city boundaries. The full justification and evidence to support this will be contained in the final proposal, which will be shared with councillors as part of our governance process, which will come shortly. Tonight's meeting has been requested to debate a motion. It was kindly agreed by the chair and pulled forward ahead of our scheduled programme of meetings. However, we are working in partnership with all other North City South authorities And as such, we need to be flexible in when we meet to discuss the available information. In order to coordinate the work effectively, we will need to make some changes to our governance process. Firstly, we propose to swap the joint scrutiny meeting date with the services scrutiny meeting date. So the joint scrutiny of the proposal will now be 30th of October, with information circulated to members on or shortly after the 20th of October. Secondly, we propose to bring forward the 24th of November council meeting to the 10th of November to allow all members to hear the comments from the joint scrutiny and to have their say. Finally, to accommodate this, we will move Cabinet back from the 3rd of November to the 12th of November, which is intended to be our final decision on the proposals, with any minor document amendments delegated to me as leader to make after that date. To be clear, and as all members know, as this has been raised before, the legal advice confirms that this decision rests with the executive. I remain confident that our bid is the best option and that this presents the right mix of scale and efficiency to secure the best outcomes for our residents, our businesses, councillors and staff. To restate, the North City South proposal will create 3 equal balanced councils, each serving around 400,000 residents. Keep councils connected and accountable to communities. Uses existing boundaries to avoid complex, costly and disruptive changes. Protects and supports the vulnerable and focuses on prevention. Delivers devolution and economic growth. Boosts efficiency, saving nearly 43 million a year. Meets government criteria for the local government reorganisation and devolution. I look forward to sharing further details with members from the 20th of October as we take the proposal through scrutiny and as we get closer to finalising the submission to government in late November. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Council Leader. A tremendous amount of information to take on board there. Thank you for doing that. I think what I would do now is Councillor Wellbam has his motion here, and I would invite Councillor Wellbam to reply to that, please, as a start.
Well, I'm not sure I should be even replying to it. I mean, I think all of those comments could have been made in the motion itself, and a lot of the information there we got on Friday with the press release about North City South. So all members got that press release. So I'm slightly disappointed, Chair, that you've taken the decision to allow the leader to have quite a long time to have his say on it, and then presumably again during the debate. But there we are. In talking to this motion, Chair, I would like to thank you for allowing time to debate this very important issue.
Thank you.
And let me begin by saying that actually it wasn't just seconded by 6 councillors as it suggests on the papers, it was actually seconded by the whole of the Conservative group. But anyway, this motion tonight is about something fundamental to the way the district is represented and how decisions about our communities are made. That is why the motion calls for 3 things. Each of them are straightforward, reasonable, and rooted in the principles of accountability and transparency. I'm going to take them in reverse order, starting with the issue of the city boundary. And I genuinely hope we can get some cross-party support on this, because I think all of us can agree that the boundary of the city of Leicester should not expand. It should stay exactly as it is. And this is what our residents want too. Thousands of residents have already signed petitions rejecting what they see as a land and tax grab. They want reassurance that their communities will not be swallowed up. And we are all worried about the city mayor's words. At a recent council meeting, he said that he believes the case for revising the city boundaries is, and I quote, unarguable, and that he has agreement on that point from other council leaders in the county. Now, the problem is in those meetings where these matters are discussed, there are no written records kept, no notes and no minutes. And when meetings take place without written records, notes or minutes, it inevitably leads to speculation, suspicion and uncertainty. Now, since we have submitted the motion, the districts and boroughs have released their proposed submission, North City South, which does suggest that there is some consensus, certainly within the county, that the city boundaries should not expand. However, I can tell you that people are still very, very worried about this, and I'm sure you'll hear from other councillors tonight who have some very concerned people in their communities. The city mayor's proposals will see the city boundary come right up to the edge of my own ward, right next to Kibworth, and we do not want that and all the problems that will entail. Turning to the other points in the motion, that the leader keeps all group leaders fully informed with regular updates. This recognises that any eventual submission to government will likely need broad cross-party support. Weekly consultation is not about slowing things down. It is about making sure that nobody is excluded and the process that we speak with what its clarity as a council. And the third point, that any proposal or agreement about reorganisation or devolution is not decided behind closed doors. It comes here to this chamber for debate and vote of full council. Something this important must have the scrutiny and consent of all elected representatives, not just the executive. We know that the final decision remains an executive function, but the enormity of this issue means that it needs to be debated by all councillors. The final point I would like to make is this. I have been extremely disappointed by the way that this has been handled by the Labour government, imposing LGR in a top-down and chaotic manner. Information hasn't been forthcoming and feedback has been poor. And now the Prime Minister has sacked the local government minister and has been forced to replace the Secretary of State following her resignation last week. The whole process is a mess. So I'd be interested in hearing from the Labour members who are part of the ruling coalition what their thoughts are on this matter and whether they have been lobbying their superiors. Chair, this is not a motion about resisting change for the sake of it. This is a motion about ensuring that if change comes, it is handled openly, democratically, and with the best interests of Harbour residents at its heart. And the final point is that I've just been handed an amendment by Councillor Knowles. It's something I can't support, I'm afraid, because it does have some subtle changes which I do think are important. So we won't be supporting that, but I do hope that colleagues will support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, right, Councillor Wellham. I'd just like to make one comment there, and you mentioned the petition, and I've heard about this petition. If there is a petition, it would be really helpful to have that presented to us in the proper manner. We do have a constitution, obviously, that deals with petitions. Is it possible to do
No,
that?
because it's a petition. One was done by the county Conservative group, one was done by the MPs. So it's not something for this council. It's online, and anyone can sign it.
Yeah,
and it's been signed by thousands. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Right. This is okay. We need someone to second the motion then. Councillor King. Would you like to speak now, Councillor King?
Chairman, I'd like to second this motion and I'd like to reserve my comments. But before but I'd also like to request a named vote. And I'd also like to request an extension of speaking past the 30 minutes for debate. Thank you, Chair. Okay,
thank you. Thank you, Councillor King. So we can now proceed. We have a valid motion. Councillor Knowles.
Can I be nice to the amendment, Chair? I mean, it has been referred to by Councillor Wellham, and I would formally like to move the amendment, if I may.
And
It has been moved and seconded the motion, so I believe it's procedurally correct for me to move the amendment.
okay, Councillor Knowles.
Procedural point, Chairman. We haven't seen the amendment, leader. So I think we need to have that amendment circulated to all members so we can see what it entails before we even vote on it. And again, we've mentioned it last time. In the olden days, the amendments used to be circulated in time to councillors. I think it is very disappointing that it appears all of a sudden out of the blue. So if I may see the amendment first, so I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you, councillor Mr Hedge.
Firstly, it's really 5 members, the extension of the name vote. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Secondly, in terms of the extension of time, what we actually need is we actually need a motion being put forward which requests suspension of rule 4.1.58, which is time for motions, under rule 4.1.109, which will give an additional time.
Okay, thanks, Mr Gill. I hereby propose what you've just said. Thanks very much.
And we need 5 hands.
Can I just a moment, can I just return to the amendment?
No, not at the moment. We'll deal with the amendments. Sorry, bear with me. The position is that we have a motion that has been moved to suspend rule 4.1.58, which is the time for motions, under rule 4.1.109, which was put forward by Councillor King. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Wellbend. You now need to take that to the vote, but you may want to determine whether or not it's going to be for an additional 30 minutes, so that we end up with an hour's debate as opposed to ad infinitum.
I would just make a comment on that.
Point of clarification, Chair. If I could suggest an extra, a maximum of an additional 30 minutes. Thank you.
I would just say also, I'm quite happy to extend.
Yeah.
I know we're okay for time, and this is so important for everyone, and I want to encourage everyone to speak on this. So I'm fine with an extension.
So the position is, Chair, that we have a motion for an additional 30 minutes, moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Wellbend, which now needs to go to the vote.
Okay.
So that because it's a matter of council to suspend that rule if appropriate. So if you want to put that to vote, those for, those against.
Right. Thank you, David. We'll do that then. So we're proposing an extension to time. Can I have a show of hands to support that? Thank you all very much. Good.
Sorry. The next point then, Chair, is that you've had a request for a named vote. That requires 5 members to support that proposal. So Councillor King moved it. You now need to get 4 of the members to support that. Yeah.
Okay. We have that number of people, I think. Yep.
Sorry.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we have sufficient members for that.
Just for confirmation, Councillor King requested a name vote. A name vote requires 5 members to support it, and we asked for nominations, and we've seen that those there are happy with that. So we then move to the issue of the amendment, because you have a motion on the table which was moved and seconded, and Councillor Knowles now is wishing to put forward an amendment. So that's a matter for you, Chair, whether you want to take that now.
I think we can take that now, but I think as Councillor Page said, have we got the statement on the amendment? We got a written statement.
It's a matter for you, Chair. We have printed copies that we could circulate. You may wish to take a 5-minute adjournment in order that the members can read that.
Yes, we should circulate that amendment, and we'll have a 5-minute adjournment. So I can do this, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. with the debate. And what I need to do now, we've all got this document here. We're all seeing this for the first time. And I think what I'm going to do now is ask Councillor Knowles to speak to this amendment in detail to start the debate off. So we're all absolutely clear where we are. I can see a lot of common ground here between this amendment and Councillor Wellbands. But if you could just lead us off, Councillor Knowles, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
Chairman, I'm happy to move this. I hope you'll seek a seconder at the appropriate time. Basically, this amendment is based upon the situation as it factually now is. It is meaningful and it leads us in the direction identifying the situation quite clearly. So for the record, I will read out the amendment if
Please.
I may.
Please.
It says, following receipt of the interim plan feedback document from the government in June on local government reorganisation proposals for Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and comments from the City Mayor of Leicester at the full council meeting of Leicester City Council on the 3rd of July, that both the county council leadership in public and the district council leaders in private acknowledged that the case for boundary revision for the city is unarguable. This district council resolves to 1. Require the proposals for or agreements to devolution and local government reorganisation made on behalf of Harbour District Council by the leader and or cabinet and or chief executive be subjected to debate by full council to take its comments into account before submission to government. The council meeting on the 24th of November will be brought forward to the 10th of November to accommodate this. 2, the leader will update the group leaders on a weekly basis on any new developments relating to the local government reorganisation. 3, confirms the announced position of the leader that Harbour District Council does not support any expansion of the Leicester City Council area boundaries and acknowledges that this is the stance of all district and borough leaders. I formally move that, Chairman. I'm happy to take any questions and I'll ask you to seek a seconder. My only additional comment is, as I said, this is now relevant, this is now up to date, and this takes into account all of the legal requirements.
Thank you, Leader. Can I just have a point of detail, and that is on where we say the leader will update group leaders on a weekly basis. Can I just ask, officers can help too, how are we going to do this? Is it going to be by email? Is it going to be by a group meeting on a certain day at a certain time? If there is an update, of course, but what's the mechanism going to be for updating group leaders on this?
I think it's proportionate, Chairman. If it's something that is very, very detailed, we might need a meeting. If it is something that is just an update on something that's relatively new, it's an email. But I think the commitment is there. And anything new that comes up, the leaders will be briefed. And that is a commitment and it's in the motion. So it will be clearly carried by council and I hope the members will support that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leader. Right. Okay, well, Councillor Knowles presented that this amendment. Do we have a seconder for this amendment? We do. Councillor Galton.
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much. I'll second the amendment and reserve my remarks.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we can open up the debate. I do encourage everyone to have your say here. It's a good opportunity for us all. We've learned all the latest information, so let's open the debate. Who would like to speak first? Councillor King, go away.
Chairman. I wonder if something can, sorry, I know you can't help it, be a councillor foreman, but it is incredibly distracting. I do understand. However, what I wanted to say, Chairman, is, well, thank the leader for his amendment, but I'm very surprised you left it until a few minutes before the meeting started, given that our motion was put in several weeks ago. Unfortunately, Chair, you didn't agree initially because of your interpretation of the rules to have the meeting earlier than this evening, which is obviously incredibly disappointing. That's why, unfortunately, some of our colleagues couldn't get here this evening. But the only reason we're here tonight is because of the Conservative councillors forced this meeting. And to be honest, that says everything about the reluctance of the coalition to face up to this issue. As we know, this is a this boundary vision that was being proposed by the city is nothing short of a massive land and tax grab. And it would drag, as Councillor Wellban mentioned, many towns and villages in the surrounding area of Leicester into a greater Leicester. It would also concrete over our countryside with sprawling housing estates to fix the city's own planning failures. It would hike our residents' council tax to bail out decades of mismanagement in Leicester, and not one of our residents voted for it, not one asked for it, given the assault on local democracy. Now, the leader's put some very subtle differences forward in his amendment motion. And on the surface, you might think, oh, that's okay, it doesn't really matter. Okay, well, it does matter, because guess what? Unless you're in the cabinet of this council, you will not have a vote in November. The leader may or may not take into account what you think, what we think, but he may not. And you may not if you're in the cabinet. But unless you're in the cabinet, as it stands, if this motion's adopted, your amendment, we'll all be disenfranchised, and so will the people of the Harbour District, because they won't have a say, because you'll not be allowing that to happen. The second thing this does, this amendment, is it messes around with the already published schedule, which, okay, that's your prerogative, you can do that. But it is incredibly difficult to change meetings, given they've already been published, people have already got them in their diaries, they've already made plans to visit family, go on holidays, whatever it is they've done, attend other events, other meetings, and to change it on this basis to a date which I believe isn't another meeting that was already in the diary. I can't stand to be corrected on that. Forgive me, I haven't got my diary with me. Does make it more complicated for all of us. So I'm not entirely happy about that. Then the leader says in this amendment, he'll update group leaders on a weekly basis on any new developments. The crucial word there is new. Well, that doesn't mean that the group leaders of all the individual groups, that's Conservative, Labour, Greens, Liberal Democrats, will receive any update. Well, obviously the Liberal Democrats will, because the council leaders in that group. But it doesn't mean that anyone will receive an update on the progress of this programme. You'll only receive an update on anything new. That's the crucial word. And finally, the leader asks us, I mean, this is incredible, really. The leader asks us to accept his announced position, which he read out earlier, which the chairman allowed him to grandstand and read that out earlier, that he doesn't support any expansion of the Leicester City Council areas, and also that we agree with all the borough and district council leaders across Leicestershire, with them as well. But we haven't even seen the proposal from Harbour District Council. Oh, yes, we had an outline back in March, but we have not seen the detail. We do not know what it says. The same thing at County Hall. We have not seen the detail. We do not know what's in it, or at the city. But we're being asked to just blindly accept what the leader says and what his other leader colleagues have said, despite, as on Friday, in response to this media statement that went out, the city mayor, Sir Peter Salisbury, is quoted as saying that in private, and I accept what Councillor Knoll says, he personally hasn't advocated for this, but I have to tell him there are some of his colleagues who have told me privately they have been advocating for this, and the city mayor has said this in the media column, which he's quoted as saying that. And that's a fact. So I'm not going to support this amendment, because I think the subtle changes water down our motion to such an extent that it means that you'll have no say unless you're in the cabinet, you'll not be updated unless it's anything new, and we're being asked to just blindly accept what everyone else is saying, rather than being given the opportunity to actually review and question and scrutinise in detail what is being proposed. Now, at the end of the day, it will not really matter a jot, because the government will decide, the government will have its say, unless, of course, the new Secretary of State, Secretary of State Reid, and whoever the new Minister of Local Government is, decide not to press ahead with LGR.
If you could conclude,
in which case, that'll be an absolute waste. Yes, thank you, Chairman. It will be an absolute waste of all the millions of pounds that's been spent on LGR across the whole of local government system. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. I do appreciate that. And I just want to take the opportunity to, when you mentioned at the very beginning, force to hold the meeting. I know that Councillor Wellman wanted to go forward in August. Another time, mind you, when everyone's on holiday, officers and members, probably not a good time. But I did my very best to accommodate that. And in actual fact, then, of course, we had an issue with the motion with the seconders, so we couldn't proceed with that. Even so, I offered to bring the date forward from the 25th of September to the 15th September. We eventually got the motion in order, and again, and working with officers here, and I was very keen to bring it forward as well. And I then brought it forward from the 15th of September to tonight, the 8th of September. So really, as a chairman, I've tried to accommodate everyone as quickly as possible. And okay, thank you for that. Okay, well, you've set the scene there, Councillor King, for everything. Thanks very much for that. We have, I think, maybe Councillor Graves was the next one on the list. Is that correct? Yeah, and then, yeah, okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Graves.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll be brief. I didn't think I was very next on the list. I thought I was behind a few hands, but
Oh, sorry.
obviously there's no. I genuinely think I probably was next. I have a very simple point, really, which is I'm elected to this council to vote on important matters. I have a vote. I keep recalling the scene from the film The King's Speech, where Colin Firth, the actor, is trying to get his words out, and eventually he has to shout, "I have a voice." My point is, I have a vote. I want to vote on this, and the leader and cabinet are stopping me as an independent member. I'm not aligned to either side of this room. I am being prevented from voting on this. It's one of the most important motions we potentially will ever have. I would like to vote, but it's going to be voted on by 6 people only out of 34. I can't express strongly enough my disappointment that I'm not going to vote on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Graves.
If I could just interject, Chair, I think it's quite clear that there's some misunderstanding on behalf of some of the members. The simple fact of the matter is that this is an executive function. Quite clearly in the legislation of the Local Government Act 2000 and in the Functions and Responsibility Regulations, it is quite clearly an executive function. From looking at what the leader has proposed, what he is doing, he's offering a meeting for a full debate to be had and for members to express their opinions. If a vote was held at that meeting, it would have no consequence. Because in law, the vote or the decision lies with the executive. So it seems to be that we're going round and round in circles. It appears that there is a criticism about the way that the process is being conducted. There was criticism from Councillor King with regard to the way that the motion was dealt with. But what wasn't mentioned was the fact that that was done on the basis of legal advice from an external firm of solicitors. It wasn't the fact that the chair was being awkward. It was the fact that if the chair had acceded to the request, he would have been acting unlawfully. And my job as monitoring officer, albeit interim, is to make sure that this council does not put itself and its officers at risk. And as I've said clearly, this is an executive function. The leader has said in the motion that he wants to take account of your views, and that's why the meeting's been called forward. On what I would ask, we're very short on time now. We've got an hour for this debate. And I would suggest that things are moved on fairly rapidly because you're not going to get your say. And bearing in mind that tonight's meeting is about this motion. It's not about LGR. It's not about what's going to happen in the future or what's going to come out of the system. It is a discussion on this motion and at the present moment in time, a discussion on this amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And I think Councillor Scott was the next one, I think, to speak. Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Chair, Cabinet and fellow councillors. Stoke watching
and also the people here who I represent in my ward. Before I start, I want to thank my wife, who's in the public gallery, for attending on her birthday and encouraging me to make this impassioned plea and request when we should be celebrating. It's with deep concern and outright dismay that I stand before you today to deplore the audacious land grab proposed by Peter Salisbury, the Mayor of Leicester, under the guise of administrative reform. This expansionist plan threatens to swallow up precious swathes of our cherished countryside, including parts of our own Harbour district. This isn't progress. It's predation, a blatant attempt to withdraw the boundaries for the benefit of one city at the expense of our community's autonomy, heritage, and our future. Our green spaces, our villages, and our way of life are not mere bargaining chips to bolster Leicester's coffers or political map. But what troubles me even more is the shadow of uncertainty hanging over our own Harbour District Council. Have they been complicit in these discussions? Can the Rainbow Cabinet actually look us in the eye and deny that Sir Peter Salisbury has been speaking to them? He claims widespread support from district leaders, yet we hear denials and calls for clarity from within our ranks. What's the true attitude of our council? And are they standing firm against this encroachment? Or have backroom talks softened this resolve? We deserve transparency, not mixed messages, and that these all erode public trust in our body. I urge you, let us unite to reject this overreach, sign petitions, attend meetings, and vote freely, but not on this amendment. This was written in terms of the major substantive forward by earlier. So I'm against the alteration to the proposal as it was given by our leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Chairman, a point of order, please.
Sorry,
May I make a point of order, please, Chairman?
which point of order?
May I make a point of order? Just, I'm concerned about something I've heard from the new monitoring officer. So congratulations on your appointment. I want to ask for further clarification because I'm concerned based on the advice that's been given, which is that if this truly is an executive function, I'm potentially concerned that the amendment may have been implied by the monitoring officer to be null and void and powerless and ineffectual. And I just want to suggest that based on any information that because the decision of cabinet about the devolution has been told to us that it's an executive function and must remain so. I think you may have said by law, act of parliament. I'm not sure. I'm not totally confident about that. I just want to make sure that we're not here wasting our time talking about an amendment that's not legal. You see, I had thought that we are the sovereign decision-making body virtually over the constitution. If this chamber doesn't like something or wants to add, we've got the ability to do so. So I hope you understand the point I'm making, which is I want to make sure the point you made doesn't mean we're wasting our time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I just very briefly clarify,
members.
the position is that this is an executive decision under the Local Government Act 2000. And whilst you're correct that the council is sovereign over its constitution, the constitution has to be read in conjunction with acts of parliament and regulations. So you cannot use your constitution to amend this decision. The point that I was trying to make when I was speaking on this amendment is that in terms of an amendment, you can add, delete, remove words, so long as overall you do not lose the essence of the motion. The original motion asked for a meeting in number 1, which has been granted by the leader. There was talk of a vote at that debate with council meeting. As I pointed out, the purpose of that meeting is a discussion for members to pass their comments to the executive who have the ultimate decision. So that meeting was going to go ahead. The only piece that's been taken out is in relation to a vote. The motion asks for an update on a weekly basis, and the amendment concedes that update on a weekly basis. There was a request for confirmation of the council's position in respect of any expansion, and the leader has given his confirmation that, as far as he is concerned, there is no expansion of the city council, and he's also telling you that that is the concurred view of all of the other leaders that was in a press release which was released on Friday, which was signed by all of the members. As far as I'm concerned, this amendment does not fall foul of the fact that he's trying to alter the original amendment. I hope that explains the issue.
Thank you, David. I want to give other members the opportunity. Quickly then, councillor, because I want to give other
Okay,
members
but
the
you've given the
opportunity.
leader a great deal of time earlier, which was
Yes,
waiting,
okay.
to
Yeah.
let him make a statement, verbal statement. So, Chairman, Mr. Gill has just said that you received external legal advice about the calling of this meeting. I'd like, as a matter of query, that's what you said, external legal advice. I'd just like to clarify, was external legal advice obtained informing your decision about the granting of this meeting? If so, please circulate it to all members.
It's already been circulated, Councillor King. It was given to your colleague, Councillor Wellbank. If he's not speaking to you about the matter, then unfortunately.
Well, with the greatest respect, Mr. Gill, that's none of your
There wasn't-
business as the monitoring
there wasn't
officer.
no
Quite
circulated,
frankly, I
Councillor
think
King.
what, Chairman, is the monitoring officer an active participant in this meeting, in the debate?
You asked
Chairman.
for the legal
Clarification of
advice
information.
to be circulated. The legal advice has been circulated to your group leader. And yes, legal advice was obtained. And with the greatest respect, Councillor King,
There was-
I resent the inference that you seem to be suggesting that I'm standing here and not being entirely honest with this meeting.
Yeah, I think we draw this to conclusion. There was a small, short paragraph, I recall it clearly, and I want to give other members the opportunity to have a say here. And I think actually, in the order I've got, it's councillor Rosita Page. Would you like to speak, please, councillor?
Thank you, Chairman. Now, if the motion, if the amendment covers the actual motion, why is the amendment here? But that is the question I'm asking and not the speech I would like to make. Now, I was fully aware that it was an executive function because Rutland Council brought the same kind of motion forward and they asked for a vote. Now, whether we vote or whether the vote is substantial, it is irrelevant. The point that is important for me, it is that under the Localism Act, we all are place shapers. We all entitled to have a say in council matters and how our communities are going to be shaped. Now, I am responsible for my residents, and this is the most important matter that will face all the residents of Leicestershire. It will affect their well-being, and therefore, whether my vote is valid or not, I would like to have that vote. And then the leader can take that vote and say, well, Rosita, I hear you, it doesn't matter, but at least I had that vote, because it is not fair that this is imposed on us. Now, it isn't the administration's fault, because we all know that LGR was imposed to us. It was in the Labour manifesto, and, we've got to deal with it. My favourite saying is, play the hand of cards you're being dealt with. Now, I am one who really does not like a north-south expansion on one hand, because at the end of the day, it will disadvantage some of my residents in south of Leicestershire. And it's got drawbacks. So has an all united Leicestershire. But at the end of the day, and I said it at the last meeting, there are 450 Labour MPs. They got the say at the end of the day. We're all just an opposition. Whatever we say can be overridden. There's a new minister. We might all be back to square one. I am also very much in favour for open government and transparency. And I've been very unhappy about the whole process, not just the diktat from top down, but that we as all councillors have not been constantly briefed and taken into this process. I'm standing here and this is my only way to rebel. It is to ask for this motion to be accepted by council. It's a rebellion. It's not about what is decided or what we're doing. I'm rebelling because I wasn't involved in the process. I haven't got a say in the process. And how am I going to explain this to my residents? I sat on my hands and did nothing? No, I'm not sitting on my hands. I am voting against this amendment and I'm voting for the motion, not because I necessarily think it's right, not that I necessarily think that the dates put me out. No, I'm rebelling. I want to have a vote like Councillor Graves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Page. I think on my list I have Councillor Sarpas be next, please.
Seems to be really a lot of hot air over this vote when the process of devolution, we haven't even got the public's view on what's going to happen. But it seems that main councillors in the Conservatives are more concerned about their boundaries, their ward boundaries, than the development of that they have no say in anyway, because it goes to scrutiny, it goes to the cabinet to make a final decision, but even that decision may not be the decision because it's, if you go onto the website, it's up to the government to make that decision about what's going to happen. But first, we need to hear from the surveys of what the people have said. Not necessarily all that we want, yeah, because of our boundaries. We need to listen to what the people of Market Harborough want, yeah, not just because I'm, you know, if I'll give an example. If my now I'm back in the Liberal Democrats, now my ward may go to Reform, and I lose, that's it. Depending on the constituency, that's up to the government. It's not necessarily up to us, but we need to wait for more clear direction. And I don't have a problem with Councillor Knowles' wording on this. And if I had a choice, I would take county council off. Why would I take county council off? Because they're in debt up to their eyeballs, which means when you go in the future, it means that you've got to sell your assets from Harbour District to give to them because they're in debt up to their eyeballs. And we're in a council that is debt free. So I agree with the Councillor Knowles' amendment.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sarpas. Slightly different angle on things. Thank you for that. And Councillor Rani Mahal, please. I think you would like to speak. No? Sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cindy, yeah.
Should I take this on? Thank you. I just wanted to say actually, today obviously it's a slightly different debate, but at the last meeting I did speak on behalf of my ward, and I just want to reiterate that because some members here won't have been here, so I'm just going to read it through before I give my added bit to that. As what I said at the last meeting was that as presently the only councillor for the Glen Ward, which I was at the time, I've got 400 homes Newtown being imposed by a very undemocratic process to Great Glen as part of this draft local plan that was around at the time. This was no open and transparent process, as has been mentioned. My residents are staring down the concrete chute at the creation of a new town, the size of Lutterworth, with a suggested housing lead of 40% affordable and social rent properties. 1,600 units will contribute to zero to infrastructure costs via Section 106, nor will very much come from the 30% of the remaining 2,400 market homes as 1 or 2 bed properties, 750 units. Take off a minimum of 10% of specialist elderly care housing, 400 under the policy of HM04. This leaves just 1,250 market homes, from which the vast bulk of tens of millions of infrastructure and community contributions will have to come from. It will also make these homes very expensive. From what I can see, there's no clear timetable of how and when the required infrastructure will be delivered to make it acceptable. Great Glen has already been subjected to repeated serious flooding, and from what I can see so far, these proposals are
Okay.
likely
I'm
to
just-
make.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
coming
not
to-
really relevant to
No,
the
I'm coming
motion.
to the end of that.
So if you could
So,
bring that to
yeah,
a conclusion.
That's a problem much worse. I've no option but to vote against it on behalf of my residents, which I did at the time, many of whom have already contacted me, and they're in the gallery this evening as well. And those reasons are to do with, amongst other
Yeah,
things,
we
the
could bring it,
sites and lack of
please.
clarity
Yeah.
around infrastructure delivery.
Thank you.
So today, what I wanted to say was that this is what I said at the previous meeting, and currently as one of the 2 councillors now for the Glen Ward, and following a by-election. So thanks to Councillor Scott.
Yeah.
I'm of the same opinion, and I reiterate that some of the same sentiments today. Residents of Great Glen do not want and should not be put through any turmoil such as what's
Thank
the
you.
local government.
All right, thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Thank you very much. Right, I think I have councillor Galton there. Councillor Galton.
Yeah.
Councillor Galton.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much. So, we're having a debate. I think it's really important we should focus on what this debate's about, which is city expansion. And I think that some of the speeches made over there, they're seeking to manufacture a difference that doesn't exist in the council. I haven't met one person who was in favour of city expansion in Harbour District Council. I've met people outside of Harbour District Council that are. And I think there really is no difference. And the notion that the council would speak, 33 people would speak consistently, and then the executive would go and do something completely different, is just for the birds. That would not happen. There'd be a vote of no confidence, wouldn't there? And the council, the leadership would be removed. So I don't understand why we're manufacturing. And secondly, this meeting was scheduled to happen. I think you pointed this out, Chairman. In any event, it was timetabled. It was put down months ago. So, Councillor Welborn, can you explain what is being achieved by bringing it forward a couple of weeks? Or, more to the point, what is being lost? Nothing's being lost. The position would have happened in any event. Now, some members, I think Councillor Scott in particular, suggested the leader was doing backroom deals. Nobody, I can vouch, nobody has been more consistent in standing up against this proposal of city expansion. It was a serious threat, not a few months ago, that the districts could not reach agreement on this. What the outcome of that would have been, with 2 bids or one district putting in a district. Please do not, please recognise the major achievement in getting the 7 districts. Councillor King ought to know this, how difficult it can be getting 7 districts to agree on anything. That has been done, and it's in no small part to the work of our leader and the effort that he's put in recent months. And I would refer to, and I'm happy to give you a copy of the letter from the leader of Melbourne, who chairs that group, who said right from the very start, before the government announcements last year, through to the interim proposals in March this year, and up until the present time, this was to the leader, have steadfastly argued against any extension to the city boundaries. As chair of the group on these matters, I know you have not been party to any negotiations on any aspect of Devo, LGR, and most certainly have not offered up any part of Harborough of any deal. So I hope that's clear enough for you, Councillor Scott, what you were implying earlier. So the council needs to come together and express a view on city expansion. That's useful that the motion seeks to do that. I don't detect there's any different. The threats have not gone. They're still there. They're there because no doubt the city mayor will put a bid in November to put forward city expansion. And how will that land with ministers of whatever government is pushing this through? And secondly, not mentioned tonight, what is the county council going to do? Are they going to sign up to some sort of deal with the mayor? All we can do is speak as a united voice, and we're a lot better in able doing that than we were a few weeks ago. So as I say, please recognise the achievement of getting the 7 districts to agree on a common position on a highly controversial and important issue of city expansion. Let's speak as one voice against that, Chairman, and let's vote tonight to say as a council that it will not happen as long as we have any say in the matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Golden. Thank you very much. And I think we have Councillor Dan next on the list to speak. Thank you, Councillor Dan. If you go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I will be brief. I'm afraid this is all about process. And it doesn't feel very democratic. We should all be having a vote, cabinet decision or not. This is a major change to the way we handle local government. And I do not feel comfortable the way we are doing it right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. That. Right. Yes, Councillor.
I will
respond. You've heard a lot there.
And just respond to Councillor Golden's comments about this group manufacturing a difference in opinion, but really we weren't the ones that put this amendment in 2 minutes before the meeting was due to start. And actually, we could have agreed this weeks ago. I put this amendment in, this motion in weeks ago. And actually, if you come to me, Councillor Knowles, a few weeks ago, we could have probably agreed some of this, but we chose to do it in the way you did. And unfortunately, it's ended up with a point of difference. I don't think that's our fault. And it's a shame you couldn't support this motion in full, because I don't think any of the points that we made were in any way unreasonable. And just on another comment, and that was about Councillor Knowles being consistent in meetings and obviously being backed up by that statement from the leader of Melton. That's all very well, and I believe that. But as I said earlier on, those meetings have no minutes. There are no records kept. And actually, it makes it very, very hard for us to follow any progress when there's no records kept of those meetings. So, but that's all I'll end on. It is disappointing that we are having to vote down the amendment because it does water things down. But I still believe that our motion as it stood was the right one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wellman. Thank you for that. Okay, I think we're at a point where we can call for a seconder for Councillor Galton is seconding, yeah?
The right to comment at the end. If the person who's moved it.
Not to an amendment. You get the right to comment normally, but with an amendment, comment goes to the person who put the initial motion in.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we're at a position. Councillor Scott, did you want to say something? I'll let you do that.
Just have to come back. Comment that was made by Councillor Galton, who alluded to the fact that I said Councillor Knowles was could be involved in discussions. I go to my colleague here, Councillor Wellman. There's no minutes. There's no details of what the discussions may have been. So they could have existed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, point of order, Chair.
Thank you.
Because we shouldn't take any lessons about minutes to meetings and it doesn't matter minutes. Never existed.
That's right. Thank you. Well, I think
call the meeting to order because it's just been added. We need to move to the road.
Yeah, I think we're in a position now where we can vote on the amendment. It seems to me that there's very little between the original amendment and the original, sorry, motion and the amendment, but we should take a vote on the amendment now. We all okay to do that?
The name vote.
Pardon?
Yes, the name vote.
A name vote?
Yeah.
Okay, name vote on the amendment. Okay with that? Okay, so, I'll call on the amendment. So all those in favour of the amendment?
It's very, Chair. The position is that there was a request for a named vote.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so now comes across to me to deal with the matter. So
thank you.
for the avoidance of doubt, you're voting on the amendment that was proposed by councillor Knowles and seconded by councillor Galton. I'll call out your names, and you can please state for, against, or abstain. Councillor Anson. For. Councillor Beadle.
For the amendment.
Councillor Birch. Councillor Bremner.
Against?
Councillor Burrell.
For.
Councillor Dan.
Against.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor Finan.
For.
Councillor Foreman. Yes, she left me. Okay. Councillor Gare.
For the amendment.
Councillor Galton.
For.
Councillor Graves.
Against.
Councillor Hollick. Councillor James.
For.
Councillor King. Councillor Knight.
For.
Councillor Knowles.
For.
Councillor Mahal.
Against?
Councillor Moder. Councillor Page. Councillor Rickman.
Against.
Councillor Sarfaz. For. Councillor Scott.
Against.
Councillor Wellman. Councillor Whitmore.
For.
Councillor Woody West. For. Councillor Worrell. You bear with me. Yeah. Right. The result of that, Chair, is that the amendment was passed with 40 votes against 12. So now there's a question of it being combined into the original motion. Is there any further debate required on what is now the substantive motion, which is effectively the amendment?
Any,
You said it's the amendment, I thought the amendment.
The amendment passed.
Chairman,
Councillor King.
I reserve my right to speak on the original motion. Do I still have the opportunity to speak
Yes,
now?
you do, councillor King.
I'm just clarifying that point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are we out of time on the?
How long do you want to speak, Councillor King? Otherwise, we may need to do a further. Is there 5 minutes?
5 minutes. I think we can deal with that. Can we deal with that?
Provide.
Chairman, this is now a substantive motion, so the original motion has fallen. So councillor King's request, to speak on the original motion, surely doesn't stand.
It has become a substantive motion. The amendment has been incorporated to what was already there. Effectively, it is changed slightly in terms of the wording, but if Councillor King wishes to make a response to it, I see no harm in that. And then we will then be at the point where the meeting has to end because we've expired for the time and we would move straight to a vote.
Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Monitoring Officer. So as we've seen in the debate that we've had this evening, there's a lot of views about this matter, and I'm not going to read out the 3 pages that I had written for the original motion because that's not relevant anymore because of game playing that's gone on. But look, at the end of the day, I think the concern I have about the amended motion, which is now the substantive, as I said earlier, there are some subtle differences. It does dilute, I think, the decision making. So, you know, yes, it keeps the power with the cabinet to make the ultimate decision. I mean, okay, ultimately the government will make the decision. We've got 3 members there of the government party who sit there I'm not going to say anything because I'll get into trouble if I say that. But I think the point is that what I was going to say is, you know, we are very clear about this. My position is very clear. There can't be a deal. There can't be a proposal. There shouldn't be a submission unless it has the consent of this full council. There shouldn't be private conversations without notes. There should be, and the leader I know will update group leaders. Might not be how we want, but I do take that. And I take his point that, you know, he doesn't, and what we've heard tonight, none of us support the district being annexed into the city for the city's land grab. But you know, it's not scaremongering, you know.
Councillor King, we are going over old ground. I'm sorry to say that, but we.
Well, okay, Chair, but you know, I'm speaking to
5
the,
minutes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not scaremongering to defend residents. It's not scaremongering to point out the risks of higher taxes and mass housing on green fields. What truly scares residents is the thought that their future could be traded away in secret. That's why transparency isn't optional. We believe it's essential. And I recall Councillor Knowles 2 and a bit years ago standing here saying that he would be fully transparent and open about everything. And I hold you to that. And I think this is where it absolutely has to be the case. And I think up until this point, I have to say I don't think it has been, because I think there have been a number of points when it could have been and ought to have been, or wasn't always. I'm not saying you haven't. I'm just saying the process overall. I'm always happy to do that. Always happy to do that. So I think that's the concern I have. And someone mentioned the MAG meetings. There are minutes of the MAG meeting, but certainly when I was involved with that, there were. The fact that we couldn't get them published, that's another matter. But so that's what this is about. This is about being transparent. This is about being open and being clear with residents and with us as has been mentioned earlier by a number of members as the sovereign decision makers of this council. So look, I voted against this amendment. I'm not particularly keen on it being the substantive because I do think it dilutes democracy and does dilute the transparency to some extent from what we wanted. But there we are. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor King. I think we need to move to the vote now. Then I think as a substantial. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Again, if we're doing a name vote.
Name vote.
So it is the substantive motion, which is effectively the amendment.
Yep.
If you can call out for or against, please. So Councillor Anderson. For. Councillor Beadle. For. Councillor Birch. Councillor Bremner. Against. Councillor Burrell.
For.
Councillor Dan.
Against.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor Finan. For. Councillor Gare.
For.
Councillor Galton. Councillor Graves. For. Councillor Hollick. Councillor James. For. Councillor King.
Against.
Councillor Knight. For. Councillor Knowles.
For, Chairman.
Councillor Mahal.
Against?
Councillor Moda, Councillor Page, Councillor Rickman, Councillor Scott,
Against.
Councillor Sarfaz, Councillor Wellband, Councillor Whitmore,
For.
Councillor Woodywis, Councillor Worrell, right, so that motion was carried 15-11.
The motion carried 15-11. Everyone got that? We can close the meeting then. I think we can close the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. There's a lot said there and a lot we need to take on board, and we'll do that. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah.